Yeah. Aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root.
You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. Essequibo, Berbice, and Demerara, the 3 counties that make her Guyana. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond. Demerara, the city under PM Barnum. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond. Demerara, the city under PM Barnum. You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. In her waters she gave us food, Banga Miri Hasa, Simpson Gilbaka. In her waters she gave us food, Banga Miri Hasa, Simpson Gilbaka. On her land she grow us bread, plantain cassava, rice and sugar. Those are a few that Guyana grew to feed her children like me and you, fully young black man. Portuguese and white man, Chinese and black man, Malawi are one, fully and black man. Portuguese and white man, Chinese and black man, Malawi are one. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of many waters with six races living together. Come on, man. Ah, beautiful. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of many waters with six races living together.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, what is it? 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's get ready to rumble. Let me see if you guys know this this area here. If you do know this area, let's start off right off the bat. We don't have much time to waste. We just have 1 hour. It's Friday, and let's get straight down to business. This is, you know where, for some of you. Some of you might think this is Parliament Building, but let me just say it is not Parliament Building. Some of you might think this is the Burby Psychiatric Hospital. It is not. Some of you may think it is Office of the President. It looks like that right now. Some of you might think it is State House. It looks like that right now based on the occupants. But let me see if you guys know where this is. And I'm just going to look at some of your comments indeed to see whether you know where this is. It is not. And again, I repeat, it is not GCOM headquarters where Claudette Singh is. It is not there. All right, good evening to all of you. Thanks for sharing the link. Let's get ready to rumble on 107.1 FM. So let me see if you guys can identify this this compound. If you can identify the compound, well, you will probably get a tattoo on your arm or something like that. All right, somebody's saying it's a prison. I'm not sure. Does it really look like a prison? Does it? Somebody's saying it's Mazaruni. Well, well, if somebody's saying it's Mazaruni, Mavis is saying it's where? It's prison. Okay. Somebody said it. It's somebody said that it looks like Ben's office. Well, could possibly be. So do you guys know where this is? And do you understand exactly why we are going to be starting off right off the bat with this here? Just let you know that it is the Mazaruni prison. This is actually an old photograph. It's an old photograph of the Mazaruni prisons. And just to let you know that just a little over a year ago, Nabby's and Sons, right? Because this is how the PPP operates. They just give out contracts to anyone to build anything. And almost $1 billion, a little over maybe close to $700 million spent to rehabilitate the prisons. To rehabilitate the prisons, right? Nothing is really, like I said, this is basically the compound. You see the river, it's there. And they have what is called, well, gosh, talking as though I'm an expert about Mazaruni prison. But let's continue. So, for those who have been there, mind you, so there is the river, and whenever there's visitors, you got to have a visitor or something. Mind you, right off the bat, I've never gone there. Right? So, I've honestly, I've never gone there. But based on what I've read and what I've heard and so forth, it is really difficult for anyone to escape from there. It is an island, and you know what islands are, surrounded by water. And the only time that anybody can escape, it simply has to be well planned. And well planned, I really do mean well planned, and something that is as well planned as this. You can't tell me that some of the prison officers and the wardens and all these other you look, read between the lines, right? But the guy is gone. He's gone. Something that's well planned. He's gone. He's gone. How far he's gone, I don't know. It's for Robeson Ben and these criminals in the PPPC. It is for those criminals to know, to find out. How far has he gone? Are they able to catch him? Is he going to surrender? Let me say this to you. If anyone who's facing 5 life sentences, 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5, I believe. You think they're going to walk up or walk into a police station and just surrender just like that? No, they're not. But if according to what the police and according to what Robeson Ben, they want us to believe, it's a whole Jim Cock bring Ram Goat story. Don't believe the hype. Do not believe the hype. Do not believe the hype. Somebody's correcting me here, and we're not too big for corrections, right? Somebody said, Mark, it's not an island, it's part of a mainland. Well, I believe it is surrounded by water. Hilbert, have you gone there? I'm not sure if you have, but like I said, I don't know the area entirely, so I can't say for 100% certainty that it's just a piece of land that's surrounded by water, and you have to take boat. There's nowhere else. There's nowhere out of other than boat. You gotta either you swim. You can't walk anywhere, right? Can you? You can't drive or anything like that. You gotta just basically go over to Bartica and take a boat straight over to Mazaruni. So hence my reason for saying it's just a land surrounded by water, because there's only one way out, unless you can tell me of another way, Hilbert. I haven't heard of another way, but I stand corrected. Explain to me what you mean that it's part of the mainland, surrounded by water, only one way out, and that is by boat, right? All right. So I look forward for another comment from you, a follow-up comment from you, Hilbert. But good evening to all of you. What is your take? What is your take on this getaway? Because that's what it is, right? Getaway from the Mazaruni prisons. Getaway. We're hearing, according to reports, they would like us to believe that he got a visit. And here, let's break it down, right? The prisoner got a visit from someone, a Venezuelan. They were speaking Spanish. Obviously, a lot of those prison officers and prison warders, they just don't understand Spanish. And so they like us to believe that these two folks were communicating in Spanish. Whatever she was saying to him, if that story is accurate, or whatever he was saying to her. But here's where I'll begin with a lot of question marks as it pertains to the investigations. Do you believe that the Spanish girl, assuming that they're accurate, because they're going to say all manner of things now, do you believe that she is going to go there? She's going to walk up to Smalley. I believe that's what they call it, Smalley. They're going to walk up to Smalley, and she's going to speak her Spanish, whatever it is that they were saying. And right after that, the escape, the alleged escape. It happened right after that. It doesn't make sense that even if she was part of that she would just leave herself wide open like that. He escapes, and that was it. That was the end of it. She got caught. I don't know. I don't know what is happening there, but that's for me a little bit of a iffy story. Not unless she got tricked. I don't know, but they got her. I don't know what she's going to say to them, but here's the other contradiction that you're hearing. Men with AK-47 rifles. Men with AK-47 rifles aided escape of convicted mass murderer. They aided, that's according to them. Then there's another report, and the inconsistencies continue. In another report, they're saying that one guy in a boat. Are you guys listening? One guy in a boat pulled up alongside a boat that was escorting this prisoner, Smalley. And when they're escorting this guy, he's a high-profile prisoner, high profile, very high profile. You can't have one or two. You got to have about 4 prison guards. And you're telling me that this boat approaching them, and they didn't say to the boat, back off, back away, or whatever. They allowed this boat to get a little close to them. They claim that the boat, one person in that boat, was it a paddle boat? Was it an engine boat that this person is, steering the boat with one hand and has a gun in the other hand and open fire on them? So we're hearing different versions of what really transpired. But this version about one man in a boat, open fire on them, they jumped overboard, all of them get away. The prisoner jumped overboard as well. This one man in the boat with an engine boat with a gun in his hand decided that they're going to pull up alongside him and grab him like that and take him to another boat where other individuals were there waiting. Something isn't adding up. But look, let me say this to you guys. It is not for me to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and try to solve this crime. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do Ropes and Ben's work for him. I'm not going to do Clifton Hickens' work for them or Blannon work. Let them go out there and do their work. If they were paying attention to certain things, they weren't. They were basically attempting to protect their friends and their cronies in high places who are as corrupt as ever and probably more of a criminal than this guy who they claim has escaped. And so they weren't paying attention. They were busy persecuting. They were busy arresting a bunch of people. They were busy persecuting people. They were busy covering up for crimes in favor of their friends, murders, and all these things. That is what they were busy doing. And now there is another report that we heard where they had a search at the prison. And so they had a search sweep. Usually, whenever there's going to be a search, you would know 24 hours that there is going to be a search. Because don't ask me how. Prisoners do know things, mind you. You even know things before things happen. And you will be in prison and you will hear about a crime 72 hours before it happens. You hear things. Prisoners are very smart people. They hear things. And so you're saying to me, or they would like us to believe the Nancy stories that they are saying they are trying to allow us to, or think, that we can just buy into their Nancy story. Buy in to their Nancy story. Somebody's saying that there will be, a live interview in an hour. I'm not sure what that live interview is, but some folks sending some messages. Please, let's Mike. Let's not come with propaganda and who is going to be. Travis is not going to go live in an hour, and we'd appreciate that. Let's keep it respectful and stay on this show, and let's concentrate on this show. But there's no such thing. Let's see here what Hilbert Beaver Knights. Yes, Mark, you get to many parts of the area, including Region 1 from the land linkage. I live in Bartica, Mark. Oh, I know. So, fair enough. And as I have said, I'm not going to argue with you, but can you get to the prison, Mazaruni prison, by driving or walking? Which means you have to walk all the way around. Can you do that, or do you really have to access the prisons via boat? My understanding it's just via boat, but you're telling us the interior and so forth and so on. But again, I'm not disputing you, but I just thought that I heard it was just by boat or water. And let's see what Icon Boss. Gosh, we get some serious names here. Icon Boss is saying, Mark, these prison officers are mad people. The first thing, did the prison officer know Spanish so he or she could understand what they were saying? Well, I would assume that they would ask them to speak English so that they could understand what this exchange was. I'm not sure that a heck of a lot of prison officers do speak Spanish, but we were told that they were communicating Smalley and this quote unquote Spanish young lady were basically communicating in Spanish. So I don't know about that at all. But that's another issue. Maybe you can ask Robeson Ben, who speaks a lot of languages. I'm just kidding. He can barely speak English. So what else is happening after the news of the Smalley allegedly escaping? This is what happened to Robeson Ben. He just he heard the news, and this is exactly what has happened to Robeson Ben. Let me have you guys sync this. I'm looking at some of your comments. I'm looking at Sean Ben. And Sean Ben, his comment is basically, it is very, very, it's a very bold signature of the PPP regime. And I agree with you, almost 110% signature of the PPP regime. If in fact he was picked up by boat, and he's gone. I don't know how far he's gone. I don't know how far he has reached, but he's gone. And he surely wouldn't surrender. And this is Robeson Ben, right after he got the news. I notice Bernard Smith is mentioning the PS here. And just to let you know, Bernard, this is probably the only show we don't deal with Miss Grippy and those sort of things here. We just don't do that. You got to go over to the guy that rings the bell, right? Go to Sherrod with those sort of things. But we're not deal with Grippian who's not Grippian, right? We want to deal with serious matters here. Mr. Crawford, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Can't
Yeah,
complain.
what's going on? What's your take? We now have the country now is a bit shaky right now. Jack Deere is a bit shaky. Robeson Ben is a bit shaky. A lot of these guys under this regime who rigged their way into office, they're very shaky right now. We're getting a serious feedback from you, from your end, Mr. Crawford, but they're very, very shaky right now. All of them are very shaky. What's going on? What's your take on the inconsistencies we've been getting about this quote-unquote prison escape?
Oh, here was a problem. This guy is a known PPP guy over the years, and if you pay attention,
Which guy?
the same escapee, Smalley.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Remember the Lozignan charges? Convictions were all overturned, all 14 counts.
Yeah.
Right. So now, only thing that was hanging is the bar ticker. And eventually, what's going to happen now? He's going to get fingered for a lot of stuff. And then, pop goes the weasel. This is an election time. And you remember the country is under a lot of pressure because a lot of things are being exposed now.
So you're saying that there's a high possibility that, are you saying that there's a high possibility that the PPP is connected to this escape?
Look, let me ask you a question. How you just mentioned that there is no proper way of walking to that prison, driving to that prison, right? And if I recall clearly, it's mostly water surrounding that area. How is it possible that after a visitation, there goes an escape of a high-profile person? This is not a person that the first time they're doing it. So you mean to tell me they're not paying attention?
I noticed a comment here.
It's not Cam Street. It's not Lozignan. It's not New Amsterdam. It's not Latem. So, you see what you're seeing in the background there? Water. How do you access that thing with such an ease? If it's not inside job, then something is totally wrong with what is going on in Guyana. Just look at it.
Yeah, we're looking at it, and I noticed a comment there from Sherwin Green. Sherwin is saying maybe the administration is the reason why he's out. So if they're the reason why he's out, why would they be shaking? Well, good point there too. We don't know why he's out. We can just assume because the PPP is notorious when it comes to these sort of jail breaks and all these manner of things. The PPP is notorious in planning these things. And so we want the general public to understand that that's another way of looking at it. Mr. Wayne Caesar, good evening and welcome, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Mark. Good evening, listeners, viewers. Mr. Crawford, a pleasant good evening to you too, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. So escape, prisoner, on the run, on the loose. Maybe he's at Freedom House. We don't know. Maybe he's at State House. We don't know. Lots of things we can just assume. Whether this is an escape, a staged escape on the part of the PPP, we don't know. But what is your take, though, Mr. Caesar, on this?
Oh, sure. You're asking me for my take, Mark? Okay. My take is that this is government orchestrated. This is just another smoke screen to distract the people from the local government elections, amongst other things that are happening in the country right now. Of course, it's going to bring some unrest with the people, knowing that a convict of this caliber and his gang is on the loose and could be terrorizing them. This is typical PPP. When you talk about the most dangerous gang in the Western Hemisphere, the PPPC, I mean, come on. What's new? This only happens when they're in power. This doesn't happen, outside of that. Come on, lawlessness to the highest extent.
You guys don't hold back. You guys get straight to the point, and I'm sure that a lot of people are agreeing with what you guys are saying and assessing this here. Of course, offering your opinions, which is accepted right here on 107.1 FM. And if that's the case, well, people, Sherwin Green and others are saying, well, there's no need for the members of the regime to be shaking because they may have orchestrated this. People's opinions. What are your thoughts on the inconsistency? Mr. Crawford, we're having a horrible feedback from your end, sir. But what are your thoughts on the explanation given that there was somebody speaking Spanish, and then right after that, a boat pulled up alongside with one guy in the boat, gun fired? Let's get your take, please. Let's see if Crawford's stuff fixed. Go ahead, Mr. Crawford. We're getting a feedback from you, but go right ahead. What's your take on the inconsistency?
Look, Mark, when you see the amount of monies that are being spent foolishly across the coast. You know that monies were supposed to be spent on security and healthcare as a priority. These are things that were supposed to be put in place so to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Guards are supposed to be, trained properly as well as monitored because in Guyana everything has a price for where most people see an opportunity to make an extra dollar fast. And we have seen it with Camp Street. So why would Mazaruni be any exception? It's a remote area, and we should have had more focus. And with today's technology, we should be able to monitor Mazaruni from Georgetown. So giving us rushed statements saying someone speaking Spanish, and they're trying to put forward ideas in people's head that, hey, it's a Spanish breakout. When the last time that this individual was caught, they were caught trying to go to Cayenne and heading towards Holland. So all of a sudden now they stop dealing with French people and they're dealing with Spanish people. So you see where they're rushing to judgment because it's an embarrassing situation. And instead of taking the time and be honest with the citizens so they can be aware of what to look for, we are always rushing out without proper information to disseminate to our public, and it's not a good behavior on our security minister.
It's not good at all, especially off the heels of a controversial and a very embarrassing situation with the permanent secretary, who should have been removed from office by now. Someone is asking who is Ms. Botchway is asking who's the director of prison. Is Elliot. Elliot is the acting director of prisons. And so getting back to what Crawford said in terms of CCTV cameras and these sort of things, the corrupt PPP regime, they only want CCTV cameras where they can have a vested interest to control things and to corrupt situations and give the CCTV camera to their friends and their cronies so that they can have access to these sort of things. As what we observed happened with the U.S. authorities taking the phone away from the permanent secretary. But we'll touch on that some other time. Let me get to another incident at Haruruni Primary School. This is how the police operate, and I want all of you guys to take a look at this while we're going to entertain some of your comments by the comment section. Here goes. But before, just a background. A teacher did something, nothing of any big criminal nature, allegations that a teacher did something, and the police, God in heaven knows what the something is. And the police went there to harass her and harass the teacher. It so happened that the teacher wasn't there, but take a look at how the police operated.
Apply sang ada.
Yeah.
What about my face? If yeah,
No,
looking for
we're
me.
not. You probably not looking for. Yeah. Abiola McCortin.
Miss Abiola McCurtain. She left for home. Yes.
It's after school hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are come to her for
Why y'all want to know that? You can't investigate nobody without him giving
the
a reason why.
the ministry, you have to make contact with the ministry.
Yes.
We are aware of the matter, but our superiors told us that you make contact with them.
What matter you aware of?
Why you come to McCorchin?
She's my cousin. I'm looking for her.
Oh, you
I want
looking
to
for
see her. I
her?
haven't seen her in years.
What is your name?
My name is Grant.
What Grant?
Joseph Grant.
Joseph Grant.
Yeah.
It's just J. Grant, so I couldn't recognize it from there. I will ask her if she has a cousin by the name of Joseph Grant.
Well,
So I asked you to make contact with
I don't think I will relay that message. If you know her and she's your cousin, you will know where
Call
she's living
her.
and where to find her.
call her.
If not, you can return on Monday morning at
Yes, 8:30.
and
She'll
you
be
will
here
meet her
early.
here. We're not privileged to do that.
We can't
It's my
get
cousin. You can't even make us know.
There
I
was.
haven't seen her in a while.
That's not my concern because I don't know if you're telling the truth.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Pleasant good
sir.
afternoon, sir.
Yes. So is there any other thing that we can assist you with?
Yeah.
Okay then. Thank you for your time. You can return on Monday
If
at
there is a
8:30.
problem, just make contact with the ministry.
Yes.
Right? Make contact with the ministry.
So
It's
what
after
is
school
the
hours.
report?
She's not here.
She's not here.
She left. It's after school hours.
Monday
Yeah.
will be fine.
Monday
You can
will
come
be,
back
yeah.
here.
Monday will be better.
Okay. And you are?
That's not important.
So
If
what
you
you
come
want-
on Monday
what you
and
want
there is a
us to-
full-blown investigation,
Yes.
you'll have my
You'll
name
have
and you know
everyone's
all
name.
about
What sort of a jokey kind of investigation? First of all, the senior officer is saying, hey, he is there, not for anything. He's looking for his cousin, my cousin. And your take, let's take a first shot at that, Caesar. They were there to arrest a teacher because she exposed what I'm told.
Not for anything. Looking for his cousin.
Yeah, we're getting a serious feedback here from Crawford's side. So we were told that the police were there to question her. I know, odd exchange indeed, to question her over some exposure of some part-time teachers who are connected to the PPP, part-time persons who are supposedly teachers connected to the PPP, and they're getting this $40,000 a month and all manner of things. So that is what it's about. Nothing big or nothing. So they just sent that policeman there to intimidate the teacher. But we'll get to the bottom of that situation hopefully by Monday. But based on that exchange that you saw there, Mr. Caesar, your take, please.
Yeah, well, what I see there is just another one of those Barajagdio stooges, right? Because he said that anyone who tries to intimidate any of the PPP supporters will be arrested and prosecuted, right? So they are just executing Barajaglio's mandate right there. And I would say this also, Mark, this is a total waste of taxpayers' money paying the salary of those idiots who are just standing in front there, because one of them, he can't even pronounce the woman's name correctly. They need to send them back to school to learn to read properly and spell correctly, you know, and then all the questions, you know, oh, I'm her cousin. You know, it doesn't matter. I thought the two teachers handled themselves very, very well and understood what it was they were getting into, and you know, pointed them to reach out to the superiors. But it looked like if they were still trying to, you know, get information from those two women, but the two women did not budge, which was very, very good on their part. You know,
Yeah,
and like
little,
the lady said, they
little
can
bit-
come back on Monday. You know,
Too much of information given out. They probably should have said, look, the teacher is not here. Thank you, sir. Teacher is not, and that's it. It's done with. But they still did a good job, though. Let us start on other matters because Guyana is it's a very dangerous place right now. And that's why I'm saying, y'all pray for Guyana. It's a dangerous place right now. And these things happen only when the PPPC is in office. It becomes very dangerous because these folks don't believe in good governance. They're a bunch of gangsters, a bunch of criminals. Look who, for the most part, look who they're making candidates. Look who they're grabbing and giving red T-shirts to. Almost every one of these guys got either conviction, either for drugs, either for something. What is happening in Guyana? Crawford, what's going on?
Mark, when you listen to that officer, right, that's an insult to the Guyana police force, and you could tell right off the bat that he was lying to the other educators, if I'm going to go to a relative of mine work site, just to check on her, I should be able to have her numbers. It's not the primitive time when, just six people had a telephone. So right there and then, he was not being honest, and it shows what goes on the security force. Hence the reason why we are having so much dishonest security personnel, and that ties back to the inconsistencies that we were hearing about the Mazaruni breakout. So these are the things that, as a nation, we have to correct. We have to improve our behavior when dealing with public officials, and also the information on how we operate as security officers for the people.
That is so true. A lot of them are not professional at all. We saw that that's an example there. But lots of other things are very troubling in the country as we prepare for local government elections on June 12th. Now there's an alleged prison escapee, alleged, because the circumstances, it's just not adding up. I noticed a comment here from a Ronair Caesar is saying that Guyana is a dangerous country indeed. But prior to that, there is, thank you so much, Lemon. It says here, we must tell international investors not to invest in Guyana at the moment because their investment can be lost. That is so true. I heard through the grapevine that Burger King may be going to Guyana. I'm not sure, but yes, I agree with you, Ronier, that we have to send that message to foreign investors that Guyana right now, it is not safe to do business. It's not a safe place to be at all. People are just living there by chance. And now I say this because there are other parts of the world that it's not safe too. That is true. But you have a government and you have a police force that's basically trying to do their best. In Guyana, you don't have a government. You have a gang who heading the government. All of them are gangsters. 19 fraud charges. You have another one allegedly stole money, took bribes from Sioux, and all these different things. And these are the people who are running the country. Wayne, how does that make you feel as a Guyanese?
Well, Mark, it gives you no hope, right? What's there to look forward to? And that's the thing. I feel very, very sorry for the kids because, as a kid growing up, I had people who I could have looked up to and admire. Today, who can these kids look up to and admire? All of these guys have charges. It's just a set of hooligans out there. It's a lawless nation. There's no hope for people in Guyana right now. That's why we got to go out on June 12th and start pushing these people back. We got to show them that we are just not going to sit down and handle this. And Mark, I must say this. For the PPPC right now, all strategies are in play. Okay, this jailbreak was just another strategy, and there's more to come. There is more to come. These guys have to do everything possibly to stay in power, Mark. They have already made so many external deals that they would have to answer to. Okay? So they're trying to keep the Guyanese people trapped. But we're not going to be trapped. Because you know what? The PPP do not own Guyana. The people of Guyana is who owns Guyana. Right? And Guyana is not up for sale. I want to make that clear. For those international investors who's coming into Guyana and investing, you're making a deal with half of the country. Or not even half of the country. You're making a deal with a criminal cabal. And we are not going to pay you back those expenses. We're just not going to expense ourselves paying you back. So I would say for right now, you hold off on deals when it comes to Guyana because the country is not stable right now. We don't have a stable economy. Guyanese are still living in poverty. So please hold your deals back. For right now, hold your deals back. After 2025, you can come see us then.
Looking for robust opposition to send that message. Whoever is the shadow minister of finance, the shadow minister of business, and these sort of things, a stronger person who is the shadow minister of foreign affairs that could deal with these issues. But I don't know what's happening. Mr. Crawford, you visited New Amsterdam today. You're frequently there, yes, but what's the mood like? Because Jack Dew and these other criminals of the PPP want to give that impression that so many people are embracing them in New Amsterdam. What was the mood like today earlier, sir?
Look, I saw a very dull town. It was surprising that Water Street, which normally on a Friday would be very busy, you could have driven out without any delay. And that that projection that they're putting out, there's a lot of people there red shirt. Yeah, you may have a few soup drinkers, but if the numbers are what it was on the last election, they're only going to take a cup of water out of the vat, but they will not be able to achieve what they set out to do. And that is to hijack the leadership of the town. If that happens, then we are going to see a dangerous trend developing, because if the people that living in New Amsterdam step back from the mirror and look at what the PPP did to their town during their 23 reign, where they hurt the economy and the survival and the happiness of the people of New Amsterdam by putting a bridge to divert the traffic towards Rosal instead of coming through New Amsterdam and helping Edinburgh and Glasgow and those people to get a little bit from the passing vehicles. You know, you gotta look at what was done to you in the past, and why would I hose you up to a woman who has been cheating on me in the past and I still go back to her and expect to have a happy ending? It doesn't make sense to the people who are going there, because they really don't care about their dignity, and above all, the sacrifices of their poor parents. You know, they're throwing everything out the door for just a fun time. And a lot of people are thinking that having a lot of monies in your pocket makes you a happy and comfortable person. It's far from the truth, because whatever is ill-gotten would not, last long. And it also puts a bad omen on your circle.
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. A cheating woman, cheating man, it happens. It goes both ways. A cheating woman, a cheating man, and so forth. Not just confined to one sexual orientation. But I noticed a comment, and I got all of your points there, and I'm glad that you were on the ground today there in New Amsterdam, Mr. Crawford, and you were able to assess the situation, to come back and to report to us, our people, that this whole make up this fiction thing coming from the PPP, that so many people are wearing their red t-shirts. That's not the case at all in New Amsterdam. It's a lie. And then we have been able to counter that. We have been able to expose them. We have been able to show you guys the evidence. But let us, I noticed somebody said that Mr. Wayne Caesar is on fire tonight. And when somebody's on fire, you give them that opportunity. What's your take on the local government elections in Guyana? The PPP obviously have a set of criminals that they put up as candidates. And this is not to paint all of their candidates with the same brush, but quite a lot of questionable characters are candidates for the PPP. Outside of that, what is your take on the propaganda being spread by the PPP that people are crossing over to them and wearing red shirts? Mr. Caesar?
Mark, you're correct on that. The propaganda being spread by the PPPC. Because if you ask me, I think the PPPC is going to lose votes. Some of their own people are going to vote APNU plus AFC. The PPP hasn't just been starving people who don't support them. You know, even some of their own supporters are very, very upset. And those people got to understand, you can't just be upset, but you have to vote according to the issues. And the issues is that we right now have the most horrible government that has ever existed in Guyana in power, and we need to remove them. Right? And that's voting to an issue right there. the most criminal government that I have ever seen. These guys would go all out, man, on the people of Guyana just to secure their place and to make sure that they have power in Guyana. And the leader of the PPPC, Mr. Barry Jagdeo, who quote unquote went to Russia and study and have a doctorate in economics or finance or whatever.
He doesn't have a doctorate. I just think he has a bachelor's. He is the holder.
This is this is getting really interesting now, Mark.
Again, he doesn't have a doctorate. He's not the holder of a PhD. He is being called a doctor as a result of being the recipient of maybe 2 or 3 honorary doctorate. And so when you are giving such an award, honorary doctorate, you just people do not address you as a doctor because he's not a doctor. He's not a qualified doctor. He never went to school for a PhD. And I don't know why they keep calling him doctor. He's just not a doctor. He's not even a foot doctor. He's not even a quack doctor. He's just not a doctor at all. So, Mr. Crawford.
But Mark, with that being said, let me just finish off. Let me just finish off by saying, even though if he had a doctorate or not, which you just, put in perspective that he doesn't have one, that doctorate would have been in dictatorship, and he has a master's in power drunk, because that's exactly what he is. Look, man, in Guyana, we are not going to allow one man to control the narrative. Okay, this guy had his turn. Your turn is up, man. You need to get moving.
Absolutely. Mr. Crawford?
I hear what Wayne is trying to say, but Wayne, you have to understand that there are many cutthroats or sellout people. There are going to be some who are going to be running on the other side. And just remember, the reason why the PPP was in office for such a long time or back there is because of the very same folks that you may be trying to help. Some of them are good house slaves, and they can't get any better than that. And that's because they are not trying to educate themselves as to where they came from and what was the reason for them to be in that hole, or if they took stock and ownership in making Guyana a better place by behaving in a different manner. What we're seeing are some people, I don't know if because of lack of education or what it is, that they do not seem to care what happens to the communities that they dwell in, as long as they themselves could go there and flash a few bucks and make believe that that's what life is about. And it's sad that the PPP was installed and we're not seeing those who are so vigilant that busting down our doors during our election period and disrespecting our constitution, claiming all these fraudulent things, when the records were showing that it wasn't the people who you're lambasting, it's the ones you were supporting. Now they don't have a voice to come out against the people that they clammed up to. And that's a total disrespect to not only the at the time the coalition supporters, but every Guyanese. And what I would like to see from our elected officials, we must stop focusing on what we term our supporters, our constituents, and start to be worried about every single Guyanese welfare, as we are office bearers for Guyanese people and not just supporters. Because like you said a couple of minutes ago, it's not only the coalition supporters who are suffering. A lot of the people who do support the PPP for whatever reason, which I don't understand, they are suffering, but for some strange reason, they continue to be in that party structure, knowing that they are not being respected, they are not being cared for. And I don't understand for the life of me why they can't step back and stop taking the disrespect from the same party that they claim to love so much. If it's not doing what it's supposed to do for the people of the country, you don't need to support it. Don't be afraid of the threats.
All right,
How much
folks.
how much people can be threatened? Eventually, the masses is going to win over.
Well said, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Caesar, as we're looking at this photograph, thanks, Lemon. There is Kunta Kinte, the movie Kunta Kinte. Recall I watched that, Roots. And this is what the PPP is doing to persons of African descent. Let's be realistic. Let's be honest. We just stop beating around the bush. This is what they're doing. The PPP regime headed by Jack Dale and their finale, it's like a concentration camp. It's like it's an entity where they grab individuals, criminalize them, put them back into slavery. And when they move into New Amsterdam, Linden, and so forth and so on, that is what they're attempting to do with persons of African descent. We must be able to stand up and fight back and say that this is unacceptable. We are not going to just lay back and close our eyes and be overrun by these criminals in the PPPC regime who are recruiting people who are supposedly bullies. Bullies, we see some of them. We're not afraid of them, mind you. And those bullies know who they are. And don't feel that they can put on a red t-shirt and walk around the streets, whether it's in Linden, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and feel that they could bluff or bully citizens. It is not going to work. Mr. Caesar, as we look at the airtime here for tonight, Friday night, what else is going through your mind, sir?
Mark, what's going through my mind is exactly that photo that you have up there right now. And that photo just depicts the reason why I am here and in this fight. Because I will not let the work of our ancestors go down for nothing. All right, Guyana is their work. Okay, it's their blood that was shed for that country. And I am going to fight to make sure that we maintain some type of order in Guyana, and it's not just taken over by a bundle of hooligans. And I know there are a lot of Guyanese out there who is thinking the same way how I am thinking right now.
They are indeed thinking like that, and this is another propaganda by the PPPC. They get all of these individuals. 95% of them are not known to their constituency. 95% of them are not known to the communities of which they are trying to represent. And a lot of them have criminal records. A lot of them are shady characters. And this is what the PPPC is promoting. And we must be able, folks on the ground must reject them. In Corriverton, they must reject the PPP in New Amsterdam, in Rose Hall, if possible, New Amsterdam and Corriverton and Rose Hall. PPP supporters are fed up with the PPP, and I hope they do not go out and vote for the PPP. If they do go out, just vote for APNU PNC or just stay home. They should just stay home if the PPP supporters don't want to go out. In Linden, we already know that the APNU PNC, they have that lock, but do not be complacent. We need to hear from all of the candidates there in Linden as well. We also need to hear from the candidates in Georgetown, as we are beginning to hear from the candidates in New Amsterdam and other places as well. Mr. Crawford, who was it that was speaking? Mr. Caesar, Mr. Crawford. Who goes next as we prepare to wrap up?
Mr. Crawford goes.
Yeah, thank you.
When I look at this local election, and I am very, very angry at some of the party stalwarts who've been there 20, 30 years, that when we look at politicians today, we are seeing politicians who are there for selfish reasons. Yes, you may not be on a wavelength of certain elected officials, but the party is bigger than the people that makes it up. And I'm kind of upset that I don't see some of the big players in the PNC camp over the last 30 years or more that are not on the ground to help to educate the people on the importance of going out to the polls and the importance of supporting a party that will or had the track record of working for the poor, not for the selective inner circle people. And here is where I will punch a few names out. Joseph Harmon, Van West Charles, even David Granger, Walter Lawrence, you know, Oscar Clark, if he's still able to move, whatever the case may be. You can't want to be party elders. You can't want to say that I still have authority and factions in the PNC and do not get the hell off the seat and come out on the street. I don't care if you have personal commitments to make more money that you have. If you are a member of the party trumps you as an individual. They do not show the love of the country, regardless if there is rift between Norton and Tom Jones or Peter Paul. It is the country we are worried about, not only the PNC supporters, but the people of this country. And I hate to see people who could make a difference sit down on their asses saying, you know, I got other things to do, or they don't want me. Look, myself and Norton, it's no secret that we are two ends of the stick. But it's my job as a citizen of this country, if I am concerned about the welfare of my brothers and sisters, regardless of religion, race, or creed, I will go there to help to bring them together to understand the necessity and the importance of supporting this entity as compared to an entity who is showing you barefacedly, we don't care about you until election day. And then we go back to our inner circle dealings, having parties, having these humongous buildings as homes, while you, the supporters, you know, are struggling to buy tools and sheets to, you know, keep the water out of your little attachment. So I am here today and I am very upset. Like when I saw the condition and the behavior of the Amsterdam people where the money is not flowing. Our party elders who are still holding on to vital positions or vital stakes, holding options, either you rally your people who you have loyal to you or get the hell out. We're not doing the country any good by withholding our financial support to the party, withholding our intellectual support, withholding our educational support to the folks on the ground. If we as elders cannot come out and meet the poor out there, help to build the bridge, help to bring crossover voters, help to educate people on the importance of venturing away from our comfort zone to find happiness and to help a team to be stronger by adding our support, regardless if we are a lifelong PPP or a lifelong WPA or whatever the case may be. These elders need to be kicked out of the party because it's a damn shame that they're suffering younger generation who are trying to build and who can bridge the gap because of their ethnic complicity. These old fools, some of them, are sitting down there with chips on their shoulder saying, this don't want me and that don't want me. In the meantime, they're breaking the people's back by not being there for the people. They've already been comfortable because the people put them there when they were up there. They made a hell of a money and they can't reinvest some of that money that the people have trusted them to go out there to do their bidding, and some have fell way short of taking care of the same people who put them there. And it's time that, we have to call these people out, because every day that go by, Guyana loses millions of dollars and our children are being robbed while these elders are filthy rich. And I don't care who the hell vexes me. It's not about me. I could drop dead tomorrow morning. It's my contribution to the upbringing of my fellow Guyanese and the ones who are yet to come. And it's annoying and it's really, really embarrassing to see stalwarts living high in the hog, and they're not contributing into making Guyana a unified country. They're doing the same as the opposition that we are fighting by being vindictive and self-centered. And this nonsense has to stop. The people has to start to demand that if you can't help us, don't even come around. Don't occupy a position that someone else can help the country with. We have to stop being intimidated by people that we put to run our affairs. Nobody is bigger than me. When you're begging for election, you are at the behest of the people. So you're going to go and do the people's work. Don't go there, get rich, and then shun the people. You're using people, and that's fraud. And that is why I'm so angry at some of the MPs who are drawing a salary and do not want to beat the drum, and they're saying they got a life. The hell with it. Give the people job back to them if you know you got a life, because a parliamentary representation is a 24-hour job. So you can't have your cake and eat it. But this is how we abuse the poor citizen, because they are not being forceful for their representation. And many of us are not educated enough to know that our votes are very important. And over the years, especially the black folks, they were never taught the importance of voting during local election. They are always been taught to go big for that one big swing on the major election. That is bad. If you don't take command of the local elections, you're going to hurt yourself when it comes to the major election. And that is why we are having all these problems. If you are putting people in positions and they were able to build the bridges and educate the masses, we would have an easy walk away with everything, and we will have better representation, better services and goods. But we are seeing these selfish ass leaders. Don't tell me but you're retired. You can't be retired when you milk the damn system off the poor people's back. Get your ass out there and do the work for the people, or give back the monies that you earn and all the goodies that you enjoyed on the backs of the poor. $1,200 a pound for foreign milk. If a home has 2 or 3 kids, you're not even talking about 2 cans of sardine to add to that. And the income in the home is $40,000. You tell me how can we mold our children or give them what we were fortunate to have in our time coming up? And all these big cats are saying, I had my time, I got my own business. What about the damn poor people? You made your money off the poor people. Return some of that. But we are so greedy and selfish and dishonest. All we concern about is ourselves. When someone calls you out, you go on and you go in an inner circle and you're out because you're being exposed. To hell with it. I don't please man, I please God. And that is what I want to see. Those who have the connections to the political party and who have made significant financial gains, get back on the ground and return some of the favors to the poor people. Don't tell me but you had your time. Because if you had your time, return some of the monies back to the party so someone could be able to use that money to educate the people and help the poor.
Oh, you finished?
I'm not finished. I'm taking a break. Remember, I don't write things down. I come from my head. You're laughing. This is serious matter.
Sorry. Realize you're taking a break. Yeah, you're taking a break indeed.
No, you could have wait in the meantime while I formulate some more attack points.
Yes.
I'm getting very, very upset because our party people are behaving the same friggin' way as the PPP. We are not taking the people's heart and distress. We are having a nation that is under duress, and that is why people are committing suicide. We don't have the means to support the people that are under, don't have that strength to withstand the pressures of life. We are having battered women. We are not seeing our opposition come out and speak out against and force the people to cancel some of the road contracts and reduce the damn cost of living, get batters home, improve telephone services, improve our security sectors.
Well said.
We're
Well
eating
said.
roads. We can't go and defend our wives or our daughters with on disposable roads.
They're a piece of road and these sort of things, but well said, Mr. Crawford.
By
And
the
then
way, before I go to Wayne, if you watched yesterday's newscast, they were interviewing some of these contractors.
which newscast?
Some one of the Guyana newscasts, it came through on my phone.
We don't
And they're
want
telling
propaganda PVP stuff.
the
Go ahead.
contractors are being questioned, and they're saying this is the first road they've built. How the heck you gonna have somebody be a contractor, never had anything done to inspect, and give them multi-million dollars to build a road, and then they're gonna tell you, oh, the next time we'll do a better job.
Yeah. Well,
What
you have a lot of those.
you know when
ministers.
you want to reach out in the phone and choke these people, how can you have somebody who said they never mix any concrete, but they build a road?
And that's because it's a PVP regime. These guys are a bunch of unqualified individuals.
But the international people are seeing these things and are still giving them loans and grants for these people to go and screw up again.
I noticed.
I don't understand where the international people are just dumping money. Are they dumping money so they could hijack Guyana from the rest of us when everybody else is left?
Mhm.
Is that the idea? As what
That's
China
it.
is doing to
May I get
10 of
30
those
seconds?
third world countries?
May I get 30 seconds, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So I noticed that there's a comment, and for those who are now joining us, 12 minutes after 10, good night to you guys. We're not going anywhere just yet. At least I was prepared to go, but Crawford wants to talk. Caesar wants to talk. Two C's. Now, there's a RAS recorder saying, my brothers, this conversation isn't good for the opposition and its supporters at all. We're not here to make conversations good for them. We are being objective. They're the ones who have to formulate their discussions and make things good for them. Of course, we're sympathetic. We're sympathetic, yes. But don't expect to come here and hear all 100% thing, just opposition, opposition. They will get lashes from us, Mr. Rash recorded. They will get lashes from us. But before we get to Mr. Caesar, the PNCR Congress ought to be held this year, when they will elect a new leader, or if they so desire, re-elect this leader that they have right now. If they don't like this leader, if he's not doing what or living up to expectations and the promises and so forth, then he will be voted out. But Congress for the party is constitutionally due this year. And if they are going to elect a new leader, well, that new leader has sufficient time to prove his or herself that they are worthy of being the presidential candidate. I'm not sure if Sean Ben is up for leadership. I don't know. I don't know who is up for leadership, but we're seeing some good guys within the party. A lot of folks are keeping their eyes on Roysdale Ford. He has been winning a heck of a lot of cases. People seem to like that. People seem to like people who are fighting for them, and so forth and so on. Let us get your take, Mr. Caesar, and anything that Mr. Crawford said, or maybe you have some things of your own you want to say as well. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, sure, Mark. I surely want to pick up where J.R. Crawford would have just left off.
Sure.
Mr. Granger is the holder of the list, correct, J.R.?
Yes.
Good. And he has a program with Mark every Friday.
He has a program on this station,
right? Every Friday. Right.
Thank you. Of which I have given all the others, including Aubrey Norton, time on this station. All of them. It so happened that Granger is consistent. The others running all over the place, and then they're complaining that they don't get airtime from the PPP. Why sit and complain that you don't get airtime from NCN in Linden? You don't get airtime from NCN in Georgetown or New Amsterdam. Why waste time complaining about that? We already know what the PPP is about, but we have given them a platform here. All of them, from Jordan Figueroa, you name it, all of them, every single one of them, and we don't charge a cent. But yet they complain they don't get their messages out. They like when people just bow to them. We here at 107, we don't bow. They don't call us. They don't say, look, we're scheduling a press conference. We just basically on our own. We have other stuff to do. But on our own, we have to just grab their press conferences, air it for them, and so forth and so on. And I say this, not once you get a phone call to say thank you from the leadership of the PNC.
That's
Not
it.
a thank you, not an appreciation for what we do here. So I say this because to let Ras and others know, some others know, that we try our best. But I guess some of those ungrateful ones in the leadership of the PNCR, and they got to change their attitude. They got to change that. Go ahead, Mr. Caesar.
Yeah. So, Mark, continuing. So, we have local government elections that are coming up June 12th, which is right around the corner. So, you know, you don't have to be the leader of a party in order to lead. David Granger would have been there, done that. So, here's an opportunity for him to use the platform that he is on, you know, to campaign and to promote the PNCR. Right? But what? He doesn't do it. Why? Because all these guys have some huge egos for no reason whatsoever. And JR, you call them stalwarts? I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I'm not going to call any of those guys stalwarts. Stalwarts get out there and work, whether they're in leadership or not. So, Dr. Richard Van Charles, we see you on 107.1 FM when there's an election. You know, Joe Harmon, we see you when there's an election. You know, outside of that, we don't see you guys. That being said, the Omen is also on the lead of the opposition and his team to invite these guys into the fray also. Let them feel welcome. We need to come together as one quorum. This is not a small fight. This is a huge fight, and we cannot fight the PPPC financially. We cannot. So our strategy has to be different. Our approach has to be on the ground, like all our viewers have been calling for. Boots on the ground. We got to get on the ground. When Mr. Granger compiled this list of MPs to go to Parliament after the APNU plus AFC would have demitted office for an installed government. He put together a list with a lot of young individuals. Now, when you're going to put together a list of young and mostly inexperienced MPs, you must have some sort of mentorship in place for them. That's why we're experiencing all this trial and error with our MPs. So sometimes I cannot fully go there and blame them. Were they placed in a position to be successful? It takes a lot for someone to be successful. You have to have the proper mechanisms in place for success. And I feel like if we did a poor job with that, these MPs should have had mentors. And this is where Harmon and the Basil Williams, you know, and the Dr. Richard Van Charles and these guys come into play, the Oscar Clarks and these guys who's been there, done that. They've been on the ground for years.
They get some young politicians feel they know it all. They don't want to listen. They don't want to go through the hardship and hit the ground and so forth. They just want to pop on the scene and suddenly become lead and become presidential candidates and all. Don't get tied up with some of them young politicians. You know, don't get tied up with them. But I agree with you that they need mentorship. They're getting that from Mr. Hamilton Green. Mr. Hamilton Green has been talking to them, and I'm sure that there are other stalwarts behind the scene who are not visible, like Yvonne, Hero, Ben, and others. They're very helpful behind the scenes. So we're not going to come paint all of the stalwarts with the same brush and so forth. But I agree with you guys that we should be seeing more of them out there in New Amsterdam, in Corriverton, and wherever it is. But the PNCR Congress is due this year. Let us see what's going to happen. There should be no excuse. The Congress should be held and let the members of the party decide on whether they want a new leader or they want to remain with this leader. I don't know. I can't say that for the PNCR, but for the 2025 elections, they do need a heck of a lot of help, lots and lots of help. to pull this through. They do need a lot of help, and you need folks who are charismatic enough and who are politically matured enough to understand that there are times that you got to show a gratefulness on your part, and that you win friends like that. Because if you continue like this, you'll just get a portion of the people will be supporting you. No leadership wins a victory being as divided. I'm just speaking in general. We're looking at the time. Mr. Crawford, please, I know you can go on until 2 o'clock, but let us get your closing remarks, please, sir. Thank you.
Look, Mark, this is a critical junction. Seize it, let the cat out of the bag that the PNC doesn't have the financial strength as the PPP, as we all know. Where do we beat the PPP? Honest, contrite information. We need to touch the ground. I've been telling the PNC people they need to be on the ground since they elected Aubrey. They got their own method of, they'll get to do something whenever they finish with this strategizing nonsense. Aubrey has failed to be a person who can unite because he was not the person who could have done that. When he was elected, it was the wrong choice because he does not have the ability to unite people of different ethnicity. You have to be able to sell an idea. You have to be able to show people that you're contrite, you're honest, you're caring. You don't go out there as a leader and be there hopping like a grasshopper once in a while. You have to be at the machine day in, day out. There is no excuse of Andres Charles nor Joseph Harmon. There is no excuse for the leader going out towards Mr. Granger, as much as he may still have some medical issues. If Mr. Granger were to hit the airwaves and his program is being promoted, let's say for 30 minutes, to speak to the nation and also put some clarity or some exposure on the occurrence of August 2nd, 2020, it would ease the minds of a lot of people. I don't care what the threat is. I don't care. When this thing is a national effect, it's not a personal effect on Mr. Granger. We have to understand that regardless if there is a personal threat against him for whatever reason, we must look ourselves in the mirror and say, this thing affects 750,000 people. Am I going to keep my tongue still? That is not the right thing to do to the people of Guyana. Because especially when you're appreciated by even your opposition folks for being a man of integrity, well then live that out. Whatever the price is, if you know you can't pay the price now, you should not have gone into the ring then. You understand? When you go for top leadership, you got to expect the worst scenario. We can't say that our families are going to miss us, and no. Like me, I've already told my children, if a bullet comes to me, then so be it. I choose to do the fighting for people who cannot say what they want to say. I would like to see the stalwarts, the Valda Lawrence, all of them who fought to go back to Parliament and give experience to the young parliamentarian. Mind you, they are the ones who got pissed off and refused to give the parliamentarians, some of them, some coaching when Mr. Granger named the younger ones, because he wanted to appeal to the younger generation to get involved with their future by being community leaders and community oriented. And these older ones, they got upset because, again, it was all about the almighty dollar, the pension, the this and the progs and all this nonsense. They were thinking of themselves and not the people of the country. We are seeing too much selfish politicians. And, if it be that the citizens start to whip these politicians when they be disrespectful and evil, then so be it, because we cannot put you there and you are not looking out for our interests. Imagine I'm having all these negatives coming out of the region office for my village that we're not getting services and goods because a little stumpy guy thinks he's going to use his position to disrespect certain people of certain ethnicity and political affiliation. One of these days, he's going to run into a wall. You cannot do these things. We need to take care of it. My problem in my village does not affect me alone. It affects Black people and Kuli people.
Mr.
And
Crawford, we're looking at
when
the
you
time.
do that,
30 seconds.
mind your second, when you do that,
Yeah.
you're showing people that if you don't support the party, you're not going to have goods and services. You cannot do that. And we need to rail seriously against people who are discriminatory to our citizens, regardless of who they support.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The opposition, they need to after the local government elections, because people are going to go out in their numbers to vote for them, but they need to just basically come together and decide the way forward for the general and regional elections. They got to go into the general and regional elections prepared. They got to go into it with a better team. And but we just want to see victory, yes, as it pertains to the local government elections. The PPP cannot get the upper hand. They're not going to get the upper hand. And so I agree that the stalwarts should go out there and assist the younger ones, but they get some hard-headed, some hard-ears, young ones who feel they know it all. And these a lot of these MPs are not working. They're not doing their job. But you see a lot of them out sporting. You see a lot of them out at the 70th anniversary of Parliament. There, you see some of them over at the U.S. embassies, the U.S. ambassador's farewell party today, and so forth. I'm not saying that they shouldn't go at these places, but now is not the time to mingle and rub shoulders and knock glasses with the PPP. A bunch of dictators, a bunch of people who are ruining the country, and they got to be very mindful with rubbing shoulders and knocking glasses at this time with the PPP. But I do believe that our listeners, they do understand the frustration coming out of Congress Place and other places. They understand the frustration, and there must be a way to get over and to heal, to get to a healing process. To get the healing process, you have to have someone who understands what a healing process is, and not to use vindictiveness, spitefulness, and ungratefulness, and these sort of things. Leaders shouldn't be like that at all. I have said this in the beginning to people that, look, I'm not doing this because I need people to call me and say, hey, Mark, thank you, or whatever. But whenever you're going out there and you're batting for people and they show no appreciation, especially from the leadership level of the party that you're batting for, no thank you, no appreciation, no nothing. Sometimes you wonder. Sometimes you wonder. But Mr. Wayne, please, your closing remarks, please. Don't take half hour like J.R. Crawford.
No, I'll try to make this as brief as I possibly can.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. So my closing remarks is to the people of Guyana. We have 6 ethnic groups in Guyana. And although, people usually talk about all the racial issues that we are having in the country, I feel like if these 6 ethnic groups have proven over and over again that they can live together in love and in harmony. And, I really want to urge the Guyanese people, let's stop voting along race lines. Let's vote to issues. Let's vote to policies that we would like to see put in place, and the issues that are affecting us. Do not go to any bottom house meeting or any gathering where you're hearing the party that is holding the gathering is trying to spark racial tensions. There's no racial tensions in Guyana. Okay, the political parties is who spark the racial tensions. And I say this, and I say the PPPC is the one that does it. Okay, Mr. Jagdeo have been heard many, many times, whether it's at Babujan or underneath a bottom house, sparking, racial tensions. We need to stop this, people. We are educated people, invite, to our listeners, viewers, invite, your friends to come in and listen, so that we can all get on one page. It's about, maintaining the sovereignty of our country, keeping our values and our history in place here. Guyana is at risk here. We're at risk. We are at the crossroads where we can lose our country, and we don't want this to happen. This government has already, made all the sales, all their sale pitches already for the country, and we have to stop them. So I urge all Guyanese, come out on June 12th and vote to the issues. Vote to the party that's going to serve you, your family, and your future the best. Okay? When it's all said and done, the people is who makes a country, and the people is who need to be respected. This government have no respect for our people. When we talk, Mark, that we're gonna possibly be building out a refinery, and then you're using words that we don't have skilled workers and all that. Who is responsible for making sure that we have skilled workers? That's a government responsibility, to make sure that their people are skilled and ready and is keeping up with the world. But it just shows you, over the years, the PPPC has continued to totally disregard and neglect Guyanese. That's why Jack Yo jumped out in his last press conference and said that he has to go there and defend the investors. Investors, you defend your people first. You defend your people first. Which investor? And Mark, I'm referring to the insurance, where they file an appeal right away as soon as the judge made his decision. It shows you where the PPPC interest is. The interest is not in the Guyanese people. And you need to have a government that have your interests before anything else. That's my closing remark, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wayne Caesar. We appreciate your time. I noticed JR is smiling. Thank you also to JR. We really do appreciate the time that you guys take to be on here. It's Friday night, so I'll stop by Burger King and just grab me something to eat at Burger King. Why every time I say Burger King, Wayne seems to be smiling, but that's okay. It's an inside joke, Burger King, inside joke indeed. Look, we want to see that we want the best for the opposition, and sometimes I can sense the frustration and so forth, because we expect better, we expect more to be done. We want to see our members of parliament out there. We just don't want them to show up. They go at a function and dress up, and they're posting a bunch of photographs that they dress up. Go on the ground. I'm not saying occasionally they can't dress up, but dressing up at this point in time is not important. Taking selfies and fancying up yourself on social media, that's not going to win you votes. Go on the ground with the people. The people in New Amsterdam need them. The people in Linden need them as well. In Corriverton, I'm sure Anil Sugrim out there, Councillor Anil Sugrim, he needs help on the ground there as well. And then we talked because we do appreciate the fact that people, don't like when we are as blunt as we are. We understand. But if this is the way that those lazy guys in the opposition will get the message, well, so be it. Somebody has got to bell the cat. But what about all those ministers in the APNU AFC, the coalition government? Where are they? Some of them just hop out of anywhere. They were placed into positions. They enjoy themselves and they're gone. And that's exactly what Crawford was talking about. We're not hearing from them. It is as though they used the people and they disappeared. In fact, the person who should have disappeared and gone is right here. Look at you. You guys think it was easy things under the coalition? The coalition beat me. They laughed me. They do all manner of things. They cut me out. They shut me out. You think it's joke? You think it's joke? But I'm still here. Even though they don't support me, I'm still here. Sometimes I ask God, Mark. Anyways, for the people, stick with the people. It's all about the people. And so I'm not going to support incompetence. If there's an incompetent member of parliament who's wasting people's time, and I do feel a few of them are wasting people's time. And probably, if the list system is a situation, some of them should be recalled. We need fighters. We do need fighters. I don't know, man. But you know, it's a sad weekend for Guyana. You have someone who is out on the loose. You don't know what's going to happen next. But Guyana is really, really a dangerous place right now. Gentlemen, thank you all so much, man. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Crawford. Thank you, Cecil.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, Mark.
And thanks to all of you, all of our listeners. I've got to go. I'll see you guys. If there's anything popping tomorrow, I'll stop by and we'll just carry that as well. But for now, have yourselves a wonderful rest of the evening. Be safe. Pray for Guyana. Pray for proper leadership also. We're not seeing that at the government level. Always seeing a bunch of gangsters, a bunch of hooligans, a bunch of criminals ruining the country at this point in time. And that is why we want the opposition to get their goddamn act together. Stop with the vindictive way, stop with the spitefulness, stop with these sort of division and segregation, that they don't want this person to be on the limelight, this other person, they're going to stifle this person. You cannot win a general elections like that. Wake up. The leadership of the coalition, wake the hell up. That's all I wish to say for now. But for all of you, it's Friday evening, right? God bless you all. So long.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. You Guyana, me Guyana, land of many waters with 6 races living together. Essequibo, Berbice, and Demerara, the 3 counties that make her Guyana. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Berbice, she gave us our great sons, Rohan Kanhai, Kofi and Dr. Jagan. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond, Demerara, the city under PM Barnum. Essequibo, well, with gold and diamond.
With another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Brenscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Brenscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Brenscop, straight up from the root. Mark Brenscop, who tell the truth? Mark Brenscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Brenscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Brenscop, straight up from the root. Mark Brenscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Brenscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Brenscop, defend the ghetto youth.